TV. Too raw for TV.
What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV, aka Darth Apocalypse. So before I get into this video, I'm just going to say shout out to Leaf for the donation to the channel via the PayPal. And he asked me to talk about the Nolan Wells case. He asked me had I heard the distress call that was made when the boat was sinking. And yes, I did. And I noticed how the mainstream media, for the most part, covered up the fact that they mentioned clearly in that audio that they acknowledged that they thought that Nolan was dead at the time of that distress call asking for help. They said then you could hear a girl say, "Oh my God, I think Nolan's dead." But, there's a lot of strange things going on with this case, man. And that's one of the reasons why I've just kind of mentally checked out on following these types of things, man. It's just, there's always the same pattern that develops. And the pattern is that the mainstream media, whenever there is somebody who is African American, usually African American young male, who is the apparent victim of some sort of, perhaps in this case, but oftentimes we know for sure, racially charged incident or racially charged motivated attack, I should say, that took that person's life. Every time the evidence is overwhelming that that's what the case was, the mainstream media will sidestep the person or persons involved, and instead they'll focus the mirror on the victim. Every time, the person who's the victim is the one who gets his past looked into, his actions questioned. What did he do what did he do wrong? What errors did he make that led to his demise? Already I'm seeing people say, despite the fact that earlier this was refuted, well, witnesses now coming up are saying that, oh, he was drunk. He was drunk. So whatever the case is going to be, they're going to make some sort of case that somehow it was a tragedy of errors. He slipped and fell and hit his head and died. That's what the argument's going to be, and I see it coming. It's disgusting, man. So if you don't know about Nolan Wells, he is the 18-year-old black teen who disappeared around 4th of July. He was with a group of friends celebrating the 4th of July. And he took a boat trip to Horn Island with his friends, but he never returned. And I believe Horn Island is in the southern part of Mississippi, if I'm not mistaken. He was last seen on the island's northwestern shore at around 3 p.m. on July 4th. Now, reading from an article that says Ashley Cole, whose son was also with Wells, revealed that the group left the island at 4:30 p.m. and that her son was the last person to see Wells alive. Cole revealed that Nolan Wells chose to remain on the island as he planned to return with another group of friends. Now, this is what doesn't make sense to me. If he has another group of friends that he knows and trusts down there, what happened if it's not that initial group that he's with, as they claim? Why did they have his phone? Because you can sit here and try to deflect all you want to. Why would they have his phone? So I'm just going to stay behind with a group of friends. I'm going to let you guys have my only means of transportation in the event of a of an emergency. Yeah, that doesn't even make sense. Doesn't make any sense. But then again, a lot of things about this case don't make sense. Look, I think, from what I've understand, from what I've read about this case, that the phone was extracted from Nolan the minute that whatever incident occurred. I don't know what happened. You know what I'm saying? That's what this investigation is for, to find out what exactly happened. The problem is you got a group of people who are more interested in demonizing Nolan and being the public defenders of these kids based solely on the color of their skin. So they're trying to present some type of case where Nolan is his own. It's his fault that he died. Now, I don't know what happened. Could have been something happened to the boat, and maybe if Nolan was intoxicated, maybe he slipped and hit his head fatally. That's a possibility. Or it's a possibility that something happened where, and I always see this a lot, boys get into it over girls. They got into it. It went too far, and Nolan was struck fatally. And they're trying to cover their tracks because they don't want to ruin, quote, their lives over a ninja. I'm talking about how they perceive it. Because that would explain why they took his phone. They want to create some sort of timeline to cover their own ass, and to have teenagers have a wherewithal to take the phone tells me that they were talking to somebody who knows the legal system vis-a-vis one of the boys' mothers who's a judge. I think it's also exceedingly disgusting how the mainstream media and, some of these jigs running around here, and yes, I'm talking about you, Officer Tatum, are trying to demonize this kid, protect these friends, even in the face of very, very considerable evidence that suggests they had something, or at the very least, they know more than what they're saying. He's trying to protect them for any type of criticism. completely disgusting behavior. And I also wanted something else too. You know, when that photo that went viral of Nolan with the boys, smiling and like they're sitting in a boat, right? Why is it that in subsequent photos or replications of that photo, their faces are blurred out? Why are they being protected? Because when Josh Giddey, when Josh Giddey allegedly had their relationship, not allegedly, he had that relationship with the MINOR. I noticed news agencies didn't blur her out, and she's a minor at the time, at least. I never seen the media do that before, but they did it with her. They not only showed her face, despite the fact that she was only 5 years old and a high school student, while he was a grown ass man in the NBA. They named, you know what I'm saying, the school she went to, and they purposely put out provocative photos of her to make her out to look like a 304. Well, look, she's clearly a 304. Anybody could have been fooled by this. Anybody could have been fooled by the way she looks. But yet, how many 19 to 20-year-old black men spent time in prison or behind bars or have to register as SAs, SOs, excuse me, SOs, because of that same circumstance where they were with somebody that had a fake ID in the club that could pass for 20 or 25. Oh, you should know better. You should know how old she was. Look at her. You can just tell. And the bitch looked like goddamn Cherokee. So it's all bullshit to me, man. And that's why I said I don't really want to get involved in this situation, man. I really don't want to get involved emotionally with these cases. I've been down this road with Trayvon Martin. I've been down this road when it comes to Breonna Taylor. We had a rare win with Ahmaud Arbery, but they tried to spin that. Somehow jogging while black is a crime. We know what happened with Colin Kaepernick. He was essentially jettisoned out of the league. And people on television who looked like him were almost calling him a criminal. And so he got to apologize for something. Like, apologize for what? What did Colin Kaepernick do that's wrong? Tamir Rice, Michael Brown, George Floyd. The list goes on, man. We've been down this road so many different times, and each time it's the same story. While the focus should be on the actions of the suspicious actions of his friends, slowly but surely it's becoming more about what did Nolan do that could have led to his own death. Even though we hear the 911 call, clear as day, that we hear them say, the girl says, Nolan's dead. Oh my God, Nolan, what happened? That's the question that should be asked. Okay, right there. We have audio proof that they knew about Nolan's death at that time. So where are the questions at? Why also is a headline, a hotline for people to give tips about the Nolan Well case? Why is it being handled by a woman that's the mother of one of the kids that's suspected of being involved in his death? Isn't that a conflict of interest? This whole thing stinks. So I don't know, y'all. I really don't. I fear like when I look at all the people who are following this case, and shout out to Willie D and some of the others, they've really been following this case really hard, man. Salute to you guys. But there are a lot of people out there that are grifters who are placating to certain elements that want nothing to do with finding out what happened, but wanting to see this kid be demonized. And quite frankly, these people that I'm talking about would rather see the eradication of people that look like me than justice. And you got content creators who cater to these people and pander to them. It's disgusting. I don't know, man, but shit's frustrating, man. Tell me what you guys think.